that they're talking about fixed mindset and growth mindset. And so I think it's really important to talk about, now that we've just finished emotional tank and we're talking about, that the kids are kind of positively charged and that our tanks are full. So when we get into, working with our kids, and it's right in the course of practice and games, how we're going to be talking to our kids in terms of that second component of the research where there's growth. Mm-hmm. This is a real big key factor. And I know if I said, hey, everybody in the room, raise your hand if you read the book Mindset. Yep. I'll bet you Kelly would raise their hand, and Ruben would raise their hand, and mm-hmm. Al and Ben would say, oh, yeah, I've read the book.
Yeah.
Tell me just, Kelly, you read the book. You raised your hand. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little different. The book, just to jump into it, talks about a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. So maybe can you recall an example when you read the book that is an example of fixed and an example of growth? And so I might call on Kelly to do that.
Yep.
And say, I don't know, not to put you on the spot, but do you have an example?
No, put me on the spot. That's what it's for. What I would say is an example that I got out of the book was a fixed mindset is, and I had to read the book when I was teaching. An example of a fixed mindset is telling a kid, you are the smartest, you are the fastest, you are the best artist I've ever seen. You're a shooter. You're really you're an awesome offensive player. You're a great attack player. That's fixed. Telling them that their traits that's what they are. That's their identity in that skill. And growth mindset is telling them, you don't quite have it yet, but we're going to practice until you can be that artist or that math student or that, super attack aggressive player.
Exactly. And really, when I listen to you, it makes me think of the communication that has to happen between the coach and the player saying, Kelly, remember yesterday we were talking about your being a defender in basketball, and through your hard work and your effort, look how much better you are just in a week. So keep it up. Oh my gosh, I love it, because you told me you were a 6 last week as a defender. What do you think you are now? Well, coach, I think I'm a 7. Exactly. Yeah, I do too. And you know what? If you keep working hard, oh my gosh, you're going to be an 8, 9. You could be the best defender. If you're a 10, then I'm saying as a coach, wow, look at Kelly. She's my best defender. And so I just think in that course of everybody talking about this in the room right now, listening to different examples of fixed and growth, we want to focus you guys on praising effort. We want to focus on how the kids are moving in a continuum. Because remember, the research talks about that kids that were on a team, they loved being on the team because there was growth. And there was this ability to have that communication with the coach going, man, I'm really getting it. I'm a better basketball player. Mm-hmm. This coach is helping me get there. And I know where I'm at. So one of the things that I want to try to do, and I would love your input on this, Kelly, is I have a personal example of a coach. When I was a principal, he was our boys varsity basketball coach. He got to go to Butler University and actually talk to one of our board members, and Brad Stevens, when Brad was the coach at Butler.
Oh, wow.
What was really cool, they talked about everything. They got to go to all the meetings. They talked about how they talked to the kids. They got to watch the practices. They got to go back and watch film. They got to do all this. They spent a full week at Butler talking to coaches, Coach Stevens, kids, players, the whole thing, all day. So he comes back and boy, can you imagine? He is fired up. He is so excited to be a coach. And this model that Brad Stevens did with a coach in his coaching actually fits for anything that you coach, whether it's lacrosse, soccer, football, basketball, track, you name it. And I wanted to give him the story about what they do in their practices, because what he basically did is he would have on the board what the goals are for practice. And then on the scoreboard, he would put a 25 or a 20, some number, it'd be high. And what that scoreboard number represented is at the end of practice, there's always conditioning, right? We're gonna we're going to stay in shape, and we're going to be in better shape than we were today for tomorrow and all of that. So what that meant is a full court and back and a half court and back in 11 seconds.
Okay.
And if there were 20, that meant, hey, today, the work we have to do up on the board is 20. Wow, 20 or 25. But through the course of practice, me as the head coach and my other 2 assistants or 1 assistant, or just me as a coach, if I'm in a small town and I just have just me, I'm going to find the kids doing one of these goals of the practice. We have to defend. We have to be better rebounders. We have to be better passers. We're going to set good screens. You know, you put the practice plan together. I'm a varsity coach, and we play, you know, a team in Pennsylvania, and they're really good. And guys, we got to do these things, or our game's going to be a struggle. We got to do these 5 things. And when I catch a kid doing one of those 5 things, I blow my whistle and I go, Kelly, that's exactly the effort I'm looking for. When you did that rebound, you blocked out, you found your man, you went and got the rebound. Excellent. Oh my gosh. So now 20 just went to 19. Okay. And that's how Brad would tell his coaches their job throughout the practice was to find kids doing it right, praising the effort. I mean, big time. One of the things that he talks to his players about is be good at the things that aren't God-given talent. Be good at something that, you know, you can't be good at being tall because you're short. You can't be good at fast because maybe you're not that fast. But be good at something that you can do. Like, you can all block out. You can go locate your man. You can run as hard as you can. So that's what he would teach his coaches, and that's what the coach that I had at my school did. And what I got to watch was coaches praising effort, coaches praising what the kids were doing right. Now, you tell me, if we're doing that, what were the emotional tanks on the court for those kids? What might that look like? And I would
It'd be so high. It'd be so high because you're noticing what they're doing. That's great. I love it.
So what I would do right now is, depending on the group that I had, I would send them on a discussion. Like, look, you guys over here are soccer. I want you to get together. How would that look in soccer? And what kind of goals might be on your board? And then how could you do that in football? I want you guys to get to the track. You're over here. Or maybe I have all of one sport, but I have multiple levels. I might say elementary coaches, you get to look like junior high. You guys are right here, high school, and talk about what kinds of things would be on the board? What kinds of things would you praise? How would you tell your coaches? And what would the other kids do? Because this is what this coach did. While you were getting the praise, all the other kids had to come to you and just like hug you up. Like, way to go. You just, you know, because a big old dude like me, I'm 6'6" and a bunch of weight. I don't want to run 20 sprints at the end of practice, but you just took me to 19.
Yeah.
And what was kind of cool, it wasn't always real glamorous and it wasn't always real fancy. But think about when it got kind of low and the practice was kind of, you know, maybe settling too much and we were deflated a little bit. Coach would blow his whistle and say, listen, who's the next guy that's going to get recognized up here on the board? Who's it going to be? Like, Kelly, is it going to be you? Ruben, is it going to be you? Who's it going to be? John, what do you think? Who's going to be next to get recognized by coach for your effort? You guys ready to go? And it would just kind of reset everybody. And so anyway, I would like for them to talk about that because I think we could tie in what we're doing with growth, what we're doing with fixed, and just say, look, we're only going to be talking about growth. Look how much better they got today. Look how much better they got in a week. How much better are we as a season in this month? You know, whatever the focus could be for the coaches or just a single coach. You could do this as one coach or you could do it as staff of 3. So anyway, that's an activity that I want to try.
Love it. Yeah, I love it.
With you know, just that piece on effort and kind of leading into growth. So I kind of skipped a slide and I can't see it now on my screen, but I think we're ready for just to advance. I know you have to do that.
No, so yeah, I do. Can you see the slides? Like when you click on that, can you see them?
Oh, there they are. There we go. Perfect.
Yeah. So what I think, John, just to stop you for a second. So I think that's an awesome activity. And here's my point, that activity that you just did, this is off your, take time out here from your demo. The activity that you just did covered growth mindset, fixed mindset, praising effort, noticing effort, attributing success to effort, and you let the coaches practice creating effort-based goals.
Yes.
So in doing that, I would much rather see you do an activity like that and forego about 10 slides, because the slides are just going to be repetitive. Now, if you can use the slides as a review, as to do that activity first, and then say, here's what we found through Carol Dweck's research, that, tell them, you don't have to go back through and click through every single slide if you've just done a phenomenal activity that does it better. I mean, that's how I feel. I think that's important.
I think I'd like to play around with that. One of the other activities, and thank you for that feedback. That's kind of what I had in my mind, but I was just, kind of tearing this apart with you, and I was putting that together because I agree. But has Ruben ever done the? In fact, I was the guy. I was I'm the big guy in the scenario, and we were going to wrestle with Ruben.
Yeah.
With Ruben. And Ruben would say, okay, 1, 2, 3, we're all getting ready to wrestle, and I'm down in a stance, and I like that, because you could do that with a smaller group, or you could do it in groups and say, I need 2 people per group to stand up. And when I say go, you guys are going to wrestle. 1, 2. Okay, now wait. First of all, let's talk, what kind of effort would Kelly do? What kind of effort is Ruben going to do? And John's going to be, just. So I think that also, I think, is a really useful activity.
Did you see him do that? Did you see Ruben do that activity?
Yeah, he did it with me.
Oh, he did it with you. Okay.
So I think I would use that on occasion. But the thing I like about that personal story with Brad Stevens, first of all, Brad's part of PCA.
Right.
But it also gets everybody thinking about, how am I going to transfer this into my practice? Yes. How am I going to take what we're doing in the workshop and relate it to what, John, I coach volleyball. This doesn't work for volleyball. Oh, yeah.
It does. Yeah.
Maybe we can figure that out.
Yeah.
So
and that's why, just real quick, that's why we say, the PowerPoint, you are the reason that we're having a workshop. Any group, any organization that we're partnered with, Boise Public Schools, whatever it is, we offer an online workshop where the coaches can sit in the comfort of their own home and stare at the computer for 2 hours and do an online workshop. If we're having you come out to do a workshop live, that's what we want. We don't want to click through slides. We don't want to click and vomit. We want you to use the slides as a guideline, as a visual aid to help support you, kind of keep you on track, making sure that, we're following the same structure. But by all means, hide them, because I just did a Double Gold Coach 1 workshop last night, and I hadn't done a Double Gold Coach workshop in ages, because usually I get to do some of the other ones that people can't usually do. Right. If you saw that workshop, you would probably go, wait a minute, well, she skipped this and she didn't do that slide and she didn't show that. But almost the entire time was activity based. And then I would show the tools up on the screen, because some people are visual. They definitely need a visual structure. So that activity that we just did, how did you see us use that tool? How did you see us use that tool? Where did you see that tool work into your practice plan? So I did use the slides, but I didn't necessarily turn around and reference them. I just had them up, and this is what scoreboard versus mastery definition is, but I wasn't like, click, 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 click. They can see it up there, and we're going to do an exercise. And, for example, I had 2 coaches get up. I showed them this slide right here. I don't know if you can see it up right now with the scoreboard definition and mastery definition. Right. And I said, okay, 2 different coaches. I want Jim and I want Jake. Jim and Jake got up in front of the room. And I said, Jake, you're going to give your team a halftime speech, and you are a win at all costs scoreboard focused coach. You're focusing on results, comparing with others, and it's not okay that your team made mistakes. You've got a 30-second halftime speech. You're losing. You want to motivate your team to come out in the second half. Go. And just impromptu. Yeah. He started right away. Hey guys, we're losing. We're down. That other team's not better than you. I can't believe you made all those mistakes. We went over those 50 times at practice, yelling at his team. Yeah. And I said, okay, team. And this was just the coaches in the room. How'd you feel? And they were like, I'm scared. I'm anxious. I'm worried. I'm deflated. My tank's drained. Yeah. Then I said, okay, Jake, you're going to be the coach that's focused on mastery. What is mastery? Look up at the slide. Mastery is focusing on effort, learning, and mistakes are okay. That's what I want you to focus on. Same scenario. Your team's down at the half. Give them a 30-second halftime speech to motivate them to go out and play harder in the second half, focusing only on their effort, what they've learned, and tell them that's okay that they made mistakes because they're going to learn from them. Go. And now these guys had no training. They don't know the mastery definition according to PCA.
Right.
He was able to give a speech and he said, team, I'm really proud of you. You're hustling out there like crazy. I've seen you recovering back on defense really, really well. I love the communication. We've missed a couple shots, but you know what? Keep taking them because they're going to fall. I want you to, and then I asked the team, how'd you guys feel? Well, I'm excited. I'm motivated. I'm inspired. I want to stay wide. I want to keep communicating. We're going to keep hustling. So then, both teams, I said, what is this team that got yelled at? What are you doing when you go out? And they were like, we're going to try not to make a mistake. And I said, okay, this team that was just coached up in mastery, what are you going to do when you go out? And they're like, we're going to communicate, hustle, run to the ball, hit, And I said, so which team's probably going to play better? And again, that just covered this slide. It covered this slide because they already told me anxiety went down, self-confidence went up. Yep. And it covered the one about control. So after that activity, I didn't go through and repeat the slides because we just did it. So, that's where I say, like, you don't have to. And then the scenario too, that your team plays tentatively and lets the opponent drive the action. Well, guess what? They just showed us just by the coaching speech what team was going to go out there and play more tentatively. So
I love it. What I really appreciate about you sharing that, because I wasn't thinking about, I think that's great doing a halftime speech because that speaks to the game. And my example more speaks to what you might do during practice.
Which is great, which is what they should do, though. I think that's good. Yeah,
so because I think we could, if time were permit, I would love to be able to do both of those activities.
Yeah.
Here's kind of what I want you to talk about and share amongst your groups of how you put your practices together. Now we're going to do another activity and talk about games. What if we go back to the slide and say, look, this one's focused on results, and this one is focused on growth.
Yeah.
What might the halftime speech be, or the speech at a timeout when we're down by 20?
Yes.
And the coach is just, you won't do this to me, and this is embarrassing. And this is not what we worked on, and you guys are in trouble, and we're going to scare you, and I'm going to, intimidate you to go out there and work hard.
Yep.
Or the other coach that's over there saying, hey, this is a good team we're playing, but that's okay. Yeah. I want you to focus on, guys, really go as hard as you can. We can do this. We can get better. And we can play with these guys. Just don't worry about mistakes. Remember, it's going to be okay. And we're just going to stay together and we're going to work hard. What do you say? You guys ready to go out and go as hard as you can? Here we go.
Yeah, exactly.
Total different speech.
So you would have time to do both.
Yes.
If you use your slides wisely. So what I don't want you to do is do those activities and then go, okay, now let's click through 20 slides.
Right.
I want you to be able to, as I said, the most efficient, wonderful, effective trainers are ones that the slides are magically turning behind them as they're talking, and they're supporting everything that you say in perfect timing without having to turn around and go click, click, click. It's just what you're talking about control. Guess what? That slide just magically appeared behind you. You didn't even turn around and look at it. You're talking about opponents because people will look at what's on the screen. You don't need to read it for them. Right. Now, that might just be for the mastery section. That's for the very tactile learners, people that like to get involved. There might be another section, like when you get to honoring the game, that you might be a little more dependent on the slides. Right. Because that section, you might want to hit those learners that are the visual learners or the auditory learners. And some people might have gotten distracted by your story. And so I like to really, and this is probably the educator in me, which you are as well. I like to hit all the different types of learning styles in a workshop and read your coaches, read the coaches in the room, the parents, the athlete, the kids, especially when you do athlete workshops, read the room and see what they're responding to the most.
Right.
So I just hijacked your demo. Sorry.
This is awesome. This is what it's about for me to learn, for us to share. If you go to a couple more slides ahead to mistakes.
So anyway, just to say, so this slide here about the toolkit, that's what the coaches want to take home. So this might be somewhere that after you're done your activities that you want to have that, especially because they're going to have the book in their hand. And this one notices, so this is, again, here's the tools. Coaches always say the best part of the workshops are the tools because it's concrete things they can use tomorrow. So again, you just had them do it.
I just have the toolkits. When you go into the book, my book is old because it starts out with elm tree and then goes to, I know we switched that in the emotional tank first, but nonetheless, I want to, I'm a big guy with I don't know if you can see, the little things.
Yeah.
So I'm going to bring these to my workshops and people are going to do that on their,
I love it.
So that we can, look, you guys leave tonight, you go home and you're telling your spouse or your assistant coaches or your team, and you want to go back and read about these toolkits. Here they are. These are just 3 out of the elm tree toolkit section. If you go to your, page 27 and page 23, I'm going to have them stop and just put tabs on those pages anyway for me. So I can just quickly say, look, here are some strategies for you to go back and take a look at more than the ones that we've talked about.
Absolutely.
So there's kind of that piece.
Yep.
So.
Okay. Do you want me to keep going? So then the mistake ritual is the next video. So
I would show that video. One of the things that I was thinking about with this too is this is a personal belief of mine, and I can attest and I can submit to you right now, if mistakes are okay on a team, I can tell you immediately when I go out and watch a coach in a game, especially if mistakes are okay, and this single thing with mistakes are okay will make the most significant impact on a kid's emotional tank than anything else we talk about.
Absolutely.
I was thinking about your example, Kelly, with basketball, and that you had a coach when you were young and you missed a layup. And I've seen this happen with kids when they're playing in any sport. They make a mistake. The first thing they do, what do? They look over at the bench and they see Kelly's teammate getting up. Guess what? I'm coming out. I'm coming out of the game because I shot an air ball, or I threw the ball away, or I set a screen, I didn't run the play, whatever. I made a mistake, and I'm coming out. And so that E-tank drops, and all of the effort. Now I'm going to be just like we talked about with your practices and your game with Elm. Now I'm going to start dropping. And here's what's really cool. I love the rituals that are already there in softball and volleyball. I love softball. Every out, what do the girls do when they make an out?
They come together.
Woo!
Yeah.
Come together on that out and we work together. I've seen girls get upset with each other. They're in some kind of a jealous, upset, like, oh, Kelly made another mistake. And, why did this happen? And why can't somebody else play in Kelly's spot? Because she doesn't get the ground ball. We do it as a team, and we do this ritual that you just saw with the New York Mets and how they do it. And I just think I would like to open it up to softball coaches to maybe they get to talk about how they could do that in volleyball. The girls come together at every point and celebrate a point, or they do their mistake ritual. Just say, hey, are you guys ready to move on as a team to the next one? Football, how can we do this in football? So again, I would turn it out to them by sport and come up with some ideas, and then I would ask them to report back to me. Like, what's a good snap out of it in soccer? Or what's a good, give them a couple examples and let them, and then I think I'll be surprised. Like, that is such a great idea in soccer. Way to go. Like, I'm going to remember that. I'm going to share that for every training I do forward. That's a great idea. So that's what we want to do. But I really want to hit home to I'm going back and circling back.
Yeah.
This is the single most important thing that we can do, and damage or support the E-tank. If the single most important thing we're going to talk about today is to go out and help kids build their E-tank, how you handle mistakes as a coach is going to either add to that tank or it's going to subtract. And this is something that they really need to take a consideration to do it by person and by a team. And so I really think, again, we did this at our last meeting. I want people to use their last page of their book to write different goals and ideas. I'm a big believer if you're not thinking, then you're not growing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would want them to think about what is going to be your team ritual for mistakes, what could be a personal ritual. And I want you to write that down on the inside cover, the back cover of your book, so that you can
Mm-hmm.
get back to that and think about how you would install that on your team with your kids and how you're going to approach that. So I would give them a couple minutes to do that.
Yep.
After we've shared and after we've talked about it, and that would kind of get me into the third principle after
Mm-hmm.
they finish writing in their book.
Yeah, that's great. I love it.
So that's pretty much Elm Tree.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think it's great. I think it's fantastic. And I agree. It's funny. I just went to a high school volleyball game last week. I hadn't gone to one this year. And so impressive. I mean, they do a mistake ritual every single time. And I'm like, and they have a little funky phrase they do and a little song they do. And I didn't play volleyball in high school, but I was just looking at them going, I videotaped them. And I asked the coach later, I said, hey, can I use this? And he knows who I am. He's like, yeah, go for it. And I said, because this is actually embedded in the culture. It's not just your team that does this. It's all volleyball teams do this. And it's amazing. It's great.
Yeah, I just think softball and volleyball, they have somehow just built that into their, like you said, the culture and kind of the mechanics of the game.
Yeah.
And, I mean, they have the easiest job, so to speak, of putting that on into their team and into their practices.
Yeah.
I like how they do it as a team. I think sometimes mistake rituals could be real individual, which is very important. I was a little better at mistakes when I played basketball, but my older sister that played college basketball, if she made a mistake, she would struggle for a while, just kind of on the game. But I could see it really weighing heavy. You could just visually observe.
Yeah.
The mistake was a weight on her shoulders. And we just have to remember as coaches that Kelly's going to make a mistake and she's just going to move on to the next play. Like, wow, that was easy for her. Why can't I do that? Well, it's going to be maybe more difficult for me because my parents put a lot of pressure on me, or I put a lot of pressure on me, or coach somehow the kid feels that the coach really, I've really got to be the starter and I really have to, have all this pressure for me to be a starter. And we just have to remember that. So kids are going to deal with that differently. So it's important to do it as a team and to do it individually so that the kids can get better and better at focusing on what they need to do on the court. So that's
great.
That's the part that I love. So
yeah, that's absolutely great. I love it. And John, I mean, that's what these demos are for you to kind of hash out ideas. We want to see that you have a good grasp of the concept, but I love your ideas that are flowing and, the personal stories that you put in there, the way you were talking about. I love that. I mean, I'm glad I recorded this because I want to go back and watch what you said about the Brad Stevens day. Cause I'm such a huge Brad Stevens fan, but you don't often meet somebody that actually went to a workshop or a clinic that he did. So that's awesome.
Was amazing. There were 9 coaches that got selected and my head coach got to be one of the 9.
That's awesome.
What was really fun is my son was on the team. They went 26-0. They won a state championship. And, there was always pressure when the principal's son is on the team, and it was pressure for him as a player, but it was also pressure for the coach because, sometimes when it's the board member's kid and the principals and the preacher's kid, it's right? And so just watching them in practice and what they did, it is unbelievable. I just got to share with you real quick, whether you take this or not, but in the state championship game, in the third quarter, they're playing a team that they played 4 times during the season, twice in regular season, one in the district tournament championship, and now it's state. It's hard to beat a team 4 times. They're 20-0, hoping to go 26-0. In the third quarter, they're down 9. And the coach calls a timeout. And the kids come over. And this is a big moment because as a principal, if the coach just goes ballistic in front of the kids, in front of 10,000 people at the state championship, that's not going to be good for me as a principal.
Right.
And it's not going to be good in any way for the kids, the parents, the school.
Right.
So they talk and they come out. They end up going ahead by 9 by the end of the third quarter. And by the end of the game, they end up winning. And so after the game, I walked up to my son and we're hugging, and my wife and I and our family and my parents were there. It was a big deal. Awesome. And I said, hey, come here. I pulled my son over. I said, I'm not going to tell the coach. I want to know what he said in the third quarter when you guys were down 9 and he called a timeout. What did he say in the huddle? Because I know what my coach in high school would have said.
Oh, yeah.
You guys, this word, we don't belong here. And you guys, you're a joke and you're a defensive. No, he would have just ripped right into us. And I mean ripped.
Mm-hmm.
This is what he says. You guys, my job as a coach is to love you guys. Your job as players is to love each other. Neither one of us are doing that right now. So right now from this point, I want you to go out there and put your best foot forward. Focus on playing basketball as a team and loving each other and sharing the ball and doing this together. And we're going to go out and we're going to win the game. And won't it be fun that school over there had us down 9 in the third quarter and we still came back to win the game? Mm-hmm. And those kids left that huddle with a focus, a mission, and they were going to go out and love each other.
Yeah.
And I looked at my son when he said that. I said, he said what? Like, I mean, I was just like, what? Like,
yeah.
Right? It was just like, who says that? And so I think we can share those stories because he kind of picked up on that from Brad Stevens as well.
Yeah.
That's how he talks to his kids. I love you. Your job is to love each other. Focus. When you're down 9 at the state championship, they didn't lose their focus. That was still going back to their core value of what they were about.
That's awesome.
It just is really kind of a fun thing to tell that because that's the part of the E-Tank. Those kids left that huddle with a positive E-Tank.
Yeah.
And they just went out and did it. So
yeah. I heard a great Brad Stevens story when he was at Butler. He was in one of the playoff games, and I don't know all the details, but I heard the story that he there's seconds left in the game. They were only up by 1. There was a really high pressure situation. One of their, guys was on the foul line, had to make the shot count, and they, timeout. They all came over and he said something to his team. And again, everybody was like, the guys were laughing. They go back in, they win the game. And somebody else said to him, what was it that you said? What was that magical, what was the magic words that you said to your team? And I guess he asked one of the captains, like one of the interviewers asked the captains, like, what did Coach Stevens say that got you so, fired up to go out and really win that? And he said, he brought us in and he goes, I love you guys. And after this game, I'm going to order pizza. What would you like on it? And that was it. Like, and they were, they're expecting some big thing. And he's like, pepperoni, cheese, mushrooms. What do you guys want after this game? And he said that just got everybody to like focus on, just relax.
Yeah.
Go out there and do what you do and have fun. Like, and apparently, according to the story, the reporter was like, okay, those were the deep coaching words from the coach. But how great is that?
Yeah, we pay him big money to order pizza.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Jon, I'm excited. And so what I'm most excited about is everybody else seeing you do your thing. And I mean, I don't know that there's a lot of workshops right now. I mean, I would be happy to have you go out there tomorrow and to do this. But I think in the meanwhile, until the workshops really start piling up in Boise, I would love for, Ben and Al and Ruben to be on to also give you some feedback because I just think it's great. Right. So if I'd like to set up your last demo, your final demo, making sure that they all can be on at the right time.
Right.
So we can do this. So if you have a couple times already that would work for you, I'll make sure that they coordinate with, because I, heard from Ben and Ruben, and they were like, I can't, I have a meeting, blah, blah, blah. Right. So let me know what works for you and I'll get them all on the same page. And if not, we might have to go back and forth a few times to get a time that works. But okay. I would like them all to be on because I know, at this point, sometimes I'll have the trainer people go into the office and do it live, but I know Boise is a little far from Portland. I'm not going to make you drive 5 hours to do that. So,
and do we do another principle?
Yeah, pick any of the principles that you want to, so that by the time I send you out to a live workshop, you've already practiced through Elm Tree, you've already done the intro, and then pick another one that you'd like to do.
Great, that sounds great. But yeah, let me look at my calendar, and I will shoot that a couple choices so that everybody can look at their calendars.
Yeah, that would be great, and then we'll get the whole group together. And then from there, hopefully we'll have a lot of workshops going for you in Boise because I'm excited for you to get out there.
Yeah, it'll be fun, and this will benefit my district to just bring in
Absolutely.
more trainers, more than just me, but more, 3 more actually. We do have 1 trainer in the Boise area, Howard.
Howard Gauthier, yeah.
Yeah, so then we're going to add 3 more, and then we will keep building from there, because I've got a lot of coaches and a lot of kids and a lot of parents.
Yeah. That's awesome. And let me see who. Oh, Sam Christensen in your district as well.
Sam's at a private school, so I don't supervise that school, but Sam was a former AD in another school for us, and so I know Sam very well.
Okay, good. So he's almost about the same spot that you are. He's doing his second demo, so he's probably going to be finishing around the same time.
Super.
Yep. He's the only other one that I have right now from Boise on my radar.
Yeah, one other should be Greg Patton.
Okay, I do know the name. He hasn't started yet, but I do know the name.
Great. Super.
Okay.
All right, Kelly, I'll let you go. Thanks again for your time in this this feedback and exchange, and just give, here you've done this before, but just sharing some stories of how I think I could get,